Hello everyone, this is the beginning of the assembly process for engine number 1. Before I start, we cleaned all of the surfaces, and what I'm going to try to do is do a quick quality control of all of the surfaces before I assemble the bearings in to make sure that we are parallel. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to check the parallelism of every one of the surfaces. So if you can see here, the type of gauge that I have is not a touch type indicator, but I have to set my gauge to 0 and then set a corresponding 0 on my height gauge. So here we go. Put it on a holder. Okay, so now I'm going to move this 90 degrees. Set my gauge to 0, and there's no variation. Go 90 degrees more. And we're at 0. And go 90 degrees more. And we're 0. So we know that the seat on which the bearing sits is perpendicular to the shaft, and we're going to do the same thing here and find out what the bore depth is. The bore depth is 4.65, and the bearing thickness is approximately 470 to 472, I believe. So let's reset to 0. Reset to 0, and then okay. I may have screwed up the gauge. Yeah, have to redo that. Alright, we're going to have to reset to 0. Alright, turn. Zero. Turn 0. Zero. So we basically know that all of the surfaces are parallel and perpendicular to the shaft. Okay, next step. We're back again. Before we start the actual assembly, I wanted to go over a couple of things. The first issue that we have to discuss is cleanliness. It's going to be very important to keep everything clean, work off of these towels so that you try to minimize the dirt that will go into your engine. So if you notice, all of the surfaces have been cleaned and polished with a light Scotch pad. Okay, on the crank here, we also applied Redline oil in our access holes there to lubricate the bearing and wrist pin. We're also going to apply 621 Loctite to the intermediate journal right there, and then we're going to place the crank in the freezer. So what we're going to be doing, as previously, we're going to be heating up our crankcase to 250, and we're going to utilize our 250 temperature stick. Okay, and we're going to insert the bearings. Now the bearings have been cleaned both inside and out with acetone, and the only issue that we're going to have is that we're going to have to cool the case down, because we're going to have to clean the petroleum jelly off, because this is a slip fit. Where's my bearing? There it is. Because this is a slip fit, the bearing will fall off without using the petroleum jelly. So basically, we saw this in the previous video. So all the surfaces were cleaned utilizing the Q-tip and acetone and a light Scotch pad to polish all of the surfaces. So we're ready to go, and the next step is actual insertion of the bearings into the crankcase.